Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Jared Schaefer, and for today's subject I chose to do a basic tactical rifle carbine course utilizing the Understanding by Design principles. There are many reasons why I chose to do this, primarily my experience based in firearms instruction, both through personal exploration and through professional experience as an instructor in the United States Air Force. It gives me a lot of knowledge to draw from. I also thought it was an excellent application for the Understanding by Design framework. It offered a lot of different ways to look at this training, and of course the most beneficial thing to me is that I'm looking at using this potentially as a commercial offering. The market in firearms training has greatly expanded in recent months, and taking advantage of that is, of course, a great entrepreneurial venture. Moving forward, as we know, Understanding by Design has three distinct stages. The first stage, of course, being to determine the desired results from the learner. The second stage, determining the evidence that would be required to support that. And finally, a learning plan designed to bring the information forward and present it to the learner. When we're looking at desired results, we're looking at three distinct phases. We're looking at the acquisition phase, the meaning-making phase, and the transfer phase. The three different ways we break this down. The acquisition phase is what is it we want the learners to know. This is typically rote knowledge, vocabulary, equations. The meaning-making phase is where we take those terms, those definitions, those equations, and we apply them within a context provided by that classroom instruction or the learning experience. The final level, the transfer level, this is the information the learner should be capable of transferring to other contexts. So if we're giving that equation and we're teaching it in a class and the meaning is made to apply it to define the area of a rectangle, the transfer phase would be applying that information in a real-world context. As we look at the basic tactical rifle and carbine course, we look at the acquisition phase as what learners should know. In the view of this course, the learner should know everything. Everything that comes out of the mouth is something that should be remembered and passed on and utilized throughout other portions of the class. However, the criticality of that knowledge is much that it's just rote knowledge. There's no further application necessary. This is your firearm safety principles, your nomenclature, your clearing procedures, and your marksmanship fundamentals. Everything else is, again, fundamental, foundational knowledge that can move forward and expand into the further stages of meaning making and transfer. In the meaning making stage, this is what learners should understand. In this course, it's what they will understand within the context of the weapons platform. The information at the meaning making level specifically applies to the AR-15 weapons platform. Again, this is firearm safety, how to operate that tactical rifle or carbine in a defensive role, the cycle of operations or how the weapon works, operator maintenance, taking care of it, and the integrated act of shooting. Much of the information at this level is how to get the weapon to work for you and how to utilize it. The transfer stage concerns itself with what learners should be capable of transferring or taking it to the range and beyond. Again, we hit firearm safety because the underlying concepts, the applications specific to the AR-15, they all move forward and they go across a wide variety of weapons as you're handling them in the field or on a firing range. The cycle of operations is a concept that applies to all weapon systems, semi-automatic or automatic. Marksmanship fundamentals cross roles whether it's a handgun, a machine gun, a rocket launcher, or a shotgun. They all have the same type of marksmanship fundamentals. It's just how they're applied specifically that stays at the meaning-making phase. Range safety applies, again, across the whole gamut of firearms. And finally, ownership responsibilities takes itself from handguns, rifles, shotguns, you name it. The second stage includes evidence. Developing and determining what evidence is needed in order to assess that the learner has gotten the information at the appropriate level. In this course, we've utilized different assessment methods: instructor assistant, instructor observation, whether in the classroom they're getting it or not getting it and setting the pace of the class accordingly, discussion, written instruments, utilizing short answer responses and scenario-based multiple choice questions to further determine that individual's knowledge outside the context of the classroom. Performance evaluations, where the student would actually go through and perform the procedures or take place in the application of that and be assessed by an instructor, including some verbal questioning to ensure they understand the concepts. Dry fire exercises to provide a safe environment for them to move through application phases without causing harm to themselves or others. And finally, live fire evaluations, where they get out there, put their shots on target, and assess how they truly are doing with their marksmanship fundamentals, their operational capabilities with the weapon, and their application of firearm safety. Stage 3 is the learning plan. This is where we actually put pen to paper and describe what activities, what instructor prompts need to be utilized to enable the type of learning that is desired, and the placement of assessments as they occur throughout the training plan. As you'll notice on this page, we have several items that are marked as transfer. That means they apply across different weapon systems and across different contexts. Things marked M for meaning making apply specifically to the AR-15 weapons platform and the operation thereof, and things marked with an A for the acquisition are the items that are known but do not have any application. They just are nomenclature, definition, concept, but things that aren't necessarily applied. When designing this learning plan, I chose to incorporate some of Dahl's learner-centered design principles, specifically richness, recursion, relations, and rigor. This course is designed to incorporate instructor experience and expertise in a variety of contexts and to relate those real-world applications to the learners. A skilled instructor is going to be able to build that rapport and answer questions and draw out experiences to be able to increase that richness of the information. The spiral methodology is used to incorporate key information across contexts, specifically in this case firearm safety and cycle of operations, as they apply across the whole spectrum with the AR-15 platform and move past that into any other weapon systems that the individual may happen to attend training for or to apply these skills to. They're there. The relations is covered through the interrelation of the information as it's thoroughly discussed. In other words, how and why things are happening and how different concepts, how this part works with this part to enable the weapon to function the way it does. How this position attribute mixes with this marksmanship fundamental and increases accuracy or decreases accuracy and so forth. And the discussions and assessment that are utilized in the course, they all use scenario-based organization to enable the learners to connect processes and understanding through critical thought. The whole what-if situation is brought up on a lot of different scenarios in the class. What if your weapon jammed up? What if your weapon ran empty? What if your weapon was dry? These are all things that can be answered through the different portions of the class. Overall, this was a very interesting class. It allowed me to take a different view of developing classroom presentations, developing training units, and taking a different look at how things are assessed and organized in that preparation. I'd like to thank everybody for viewing this presentation, and I'd like to thank everybody, specifically Dr. Navarrete. Thank you very much for a very good class. David, Eric, Natalie, Fletch, Robin, Ruben, thank you again for your friendship and support as we've gone through this, and I look forward to working with you all in the future. Have a great summer. Thank you. Have a good night.